Testing, 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 testing.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, members and honoured guests today. Prayers this morning will be said by the Reverend Canon Ian Parish.
Let us pray. Lord, the God of justice and truth, grant to our Queen, her government, and to members of this council, and to all those in positions of authority, a sense of peace and understanding. We give thanks today for the office of Councillor David Nagy, for all that he's done during his mayorship, for those who have welcomed him, and the people he has inspired along the way. Bless his family and friends, his colleagues in council, and for the people of the East Ward who he represents. Forgive us, Lord, for all we've done wrong. Bless us with your presence and encourage us to follow your way. Strengthen our independent beliefs in freedom, tolerance of others, mutual respect and social responsibility, that we might work together for the common good of our town and the world which is entrusted to us. And give us all hope and the humility to seek reconciliation between parties, to work together for the common good of our town, and for the courage to say and do what we believe, to protect the weak and vulnerable, the sick and those flagging through depression. We pray for our town of Maidstone and give thanks for its culture and heritage, for the riverside walks, the development of Moat Park, and those open spaces that enable communities to grow and flourish. Guide our council and our nation, that through the inspiration of our own unique faith, we might find a deeper understanding of each other's needs and put an end to discord and bitterness. And finally, Lord, give us grace to build bonds of trust so that together we may work for the common good of all. Amen.
Amen. These proceedings will be webcast and recorded by the council, but will anyone else be recording or filming them? I ask so that the people at the meeting will know if this will be happening. Also, the Kent Messenger will be taking pictures during the recording, during the meeting, so make sure your hair and makeup's all right. Thank you. Agenda item 2. Are there any apologies for absence? I hear none. Item 3, are there any applications for dispensations? Thank you. Item 4, are there disclosures or disclosable pecuniary interests, other significant interests by members? Thank you. Are there any disclosures by officers? None. Item 5, are there any disclosures of lobbying? No. Item 6, are there any nominations for the election of mayor? Councillor Mrs. Blackball.
I would like to nominate Mrs. Ring. Is this an appropriate time to speak, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, I think so in this case. Yes.
So, where shall I start? 16 years ago, Marion and I were elected at the same time, and we wandered through the door of the chamber. Usual thing, knees knocking, full of trepidation, wondering what we'd let ourselves in for. 16 years later, Marion will be in the hot seat. When we were first elected, Marion had 2 teenagers. Now she's got 2 grown-up children and a couple of grandchildren. And I've got the grown-up teenagers, so that just shows how things change. Marion is a Maidstone lady, born in West Kent Hospital. That's now a block of flats on Marsham Street. And many years ago, she and the lovely Mr. Richard Ring, who is sitting in the front row here, were neighbours, but being neighbours just wasn't enough. They've now been married for 40 years. 40 years Marion has been fighting. She fights for her residents. She fights with Richard. No, seriously though. They do a lot of tea and sympathy as well. And I think when things go wrong, there's no one better than tea and sympathy with Marion. My father would always say, if there's something wrong, let's have a whiskey. I don't like whiskey. Tea and sympathy works. There's no doubt she's had to take in a few waifs and strays over her time. However, I have been asked the question, when the waifs and strays wander off to other groups, what do you do to bring the waifs and strays back? You set Marion on them. So Marion, thank you for that, my lovely lady. You have been an inspiration to all of us. You tell us the way it is, and we're always left in no doubt as to how you feel. Having been on the end of a grilling, I know how much it hurts. I've still got the scars across my back. So for those who've had grillings in the past week or so, I think Alan Bartlett actually had one last week. He will know what it's like. But seriously, if you are ever down and you need someone to fight your corner, there is no better than this lady. Marion Ann Ring will fight for you. She will fight for her residents, she will fight for her family, and she will keep you going. Some people are megalomaniacs. Marion is certainly not that. She had the opportunity to be mayor 3 years ago, but she stepped aside for someone else. There's not many people who would do that. There really are not. So I think there is no one better to be mayor of Maidstone, in my opinion. So Marion, to you, ably assisted by your lovely Richard and your lovely children and your gorgeous grandchildren, on behalf of the Conservative group, we wish you the best of health, lots of love and luck for a fabulous year, and we'll all be right behind you, fighting for you. So, it's with great pleasure I would like to nominate Marion Ann Ring, a councillor of the borough, be duly elected mayor of the borough of Maidstone until the annual meeting of the council in 2020. The very best of luck on behalf of the Conservative group.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Joy.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Well, I've not been leader, so I'm afraid at the moment I still need my crib sheet, so I'm going to read from here. Well, Marion, the waiting's over and your special day is here, and I know how much this means not only to you, but to Richard and your lovely family. So thank you for asking me to speak on your behalf of the Liberal Democrats. It's been said over the years that every mayor brings something new to their year of office. Well, I know with all the wonderful support given by the mayoral team, your easygoing nature and your ability to talk to anyone, excuse the pun, you will be in good stead for a memorable year. But do remember, as mayor, and I do know, you still have to be Marion, wife, mother, grandmother, councillor, and all the many other roles that you need to fill. So my advice is to pace yourself, enjoy yourself, and know that everyone here is going to support you. So it is with pleasure, on behalf of the Liberal Democrats, that I second the nomination. It's taken us 11 years for Maidstone to celebrate a lady mayor. I know, I was the last one. So as Frank Sinatra would say, do it your way, Marion, and have fun.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Mrs Gooch.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. What can I say? I can't follow all that, but I will say, oh, Marion, the L plates are off. This is it. This is where you start. I'm full of congratulations for you. The independent group is certainly, I know how passionate you are, and I think what's been said has been absolutely spot on. I can't add to it, but I know you've earned your stripes. You've had quite a reputation over the years for speaking out, and how often have you said, I don't care, this is what I think. And I'm thinking, yeah, go for it, Marion. Well done, you. And I hope you have a wonderful year. So, yes, I'd better say that on behalf of the independent group, I am very pleased to support the motion that Councillor Marion Ring be Mayor for this forthcoming year, 2019 to 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Harper.
I have really great pleasure from the Labour group in supporting Marion today. It's all been said really, but I think someone who is a plain speaker is really what we need. You will keep us in order, I'm sure, in this council chamber and outside of the council chamber over the next year, and I'm sure if you see anything you're not happy with, you won't hesitate but to tell us. You've been a great councillor for your area, and one thing I would say is now you're going to be mayor, Malcolm has offered as your ward councillor, because I believe you live in Shepway South, to take on any problems you might personally have on your behalf as a resident. I think one of the things perhaps later in the year I'd like to hope you will be able to come to is when we recommence community access to Oakwood Park playing fields, which is on course for the summer, and it would be great if we could have you to come along to the official opening when we get to that. So on behalf of the Labour group, I'd just like to endorse your selection for Mayor for the next year and look forward to you chairing our meetings as we go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Powell.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, yeah. How can you follow everything that's... Sorry, can you hear me okay? Yeah. How can you follow everything that's been said so far? I mean, just listening to Councillor Blackmore just talking just now brought it all home. 16 years. But Marion, you've earned the right to be mayor. You're just not there. You've earned it because of what you've done, the way you've been, your character. To pick up things like inspiration and fights is quite frightening. Can I reinterpret that as passion? Yeah. And you've got a passion for the people that you serve. And you always got this word, my people, which is wonderful. That is what it's all about. You're there to represent your people. And I'm sure for this forthcoming year, you're going to do exactly that. And I don't think anybody's ever going to tell you any different if it wasn't. So, but, I mean, it's a very special time for both Richard, for yourself, for the whole family. And I can't really give you any advice. I've never been there. So, but what I will say is just enjoy it. And as the independent Maidstone group, yeah, we're delighted to support the motion that Councillor Marion Ring will be Mayor for the forthcoming year. Good luck. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor. Are there any other nominations? No. I therefore put the motion to the Council. Is the motion agreed? Agreed. I'm now going to adjourn the meeting and leave the chamber.
Good morning, members. Please be seated. So this is what you read. There's your pen to sign it there. Lovely, thank you. Declaration acceptance of office. I, Marion Ann Ring, having been elected to the office of Mayor of the Borough of Maidstone, declare that I will take that office upon myself, and this will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and my ability. Yeah. I'll stop shaking. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, massive congratulations. I hope you really enjoy your year and you can rely on us to support you in any way that you need. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank everyone. I will now present the Mayor's consort with his badge of office. I will now thank everybody here today. The warmth that you've given me is absolutely fantastic, but then I know that because I've been friends with everybody virtually at one time or other, whatever group, and we've worked together, and that's how I want to keep it that way. I don't think I'll raise millions because but what I want to do, and I'm passionate about doing, I want to be open to the people of this borough. So I'm looking at doing tea parties for the older generation, tea party for children, and I will be calling on you to help with serving. Now, Julie reckons I won't get you all, but I reckon I will, because you're a decent lot. You're a decent lot. So that will be my year ahead. Any money that I do raise, because I know the team are very good at that, the quiz night, etc., that I want to keep. I will keep all together and ask smaller charities to apply at the end of the year. Because I'm a great believer, some people would even be grateful for 250 quid, the people that I deal with. So that's my passion. That's the way I will go forward. And just once again, thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you. I call on Jonah. Now, this young lad has told me his name half a dozen times. Dear Mead? Is that close? Come on up, Joe. I call people by their first name anyway. So you're more than welcome. Thank you.
In most, if not all, of Maidstone Grammar School's end-of-term assemblies, the headmaster tells us that MGS is a community within a wider community, and that it is our job as ambassadors of the school to respect that wider community. When I was asked to speak at this event, I was given a few paragraphs of information on the Madam Mayor's history. Reading it, it became overwhelmingly clear that the Madam Mayor is an individual who has devoted her career to serving this town and doing all she can to help the people of this borough. On a personal level, as an individual with an interest in politics and some understanding of the current political climate, it is all the more refreshing to see a councillor with good and pure intentions, and I believe it should give us all hope. MGS is pleased to continue our historic relationship with the mayors of this town, and I, the Governor, and the staff of MGS look forward to working with the new Madam Mayor. With our common desire to better this town, Maidstone Grammar School willingly shows all due respect to the new Mayor, and we sincerely congratulate you on this prestigious position. Thank you.
Good morning. As head student at Maidstone Grammar School for Girls, I feel extremely privileged to be able to welcome you, Councillor Ring, on your new position as the Mayor of Maidstone. I'm sure it'll be a year of many successes, and it will be very rewarding for both you and the community of Maidstone. Since 1888, MGGS has been a key part of our community in Maidstone and has a long history of providing excellent opportunities for its students. By helping to cultivate their talents, mould their characters and build their confidence, creating well-rounded students with a passion for learning. In addition to the school's outstanding public examination results, we have many traditions which we are extremely proud of and sure you would enjoy, such as Rag Week, Sports Day, and House Arts, to name a few. These events are enjoyed greatly by the students and staff, and on behalf of the school, I would like to warmly invite you, Madam Mayor, to visit Maidstone Girls Grammar School to attend one of the many events that we hold. I'm aware that you have a huge interest in improving areas of deprivation, homelessness, and giving the best support possible to those that need it most. At MGGS, our motto, non sibi sed omnibus, means not for oneself, but for all. True to this motto, we are committed to using our skills and talents to work for the good of the whole community, and as a result, our community spirit is strong. We are such a tight-knit group of people who consciously make an effort to help our town by hosting lots of charity events and promoting volunteering. I'm sure many of the students at MGGS would love to hear about your plans for the upcoming year and learn how to have a better impact on those around us, including how we can be involved. Having celebrated our 130th anniversary last year, our school's history and success is intertwined with that of the town's. I and the other students of MGGS look forward to working with you within this community, as we have done in the past. On behalf of all the students and staff at MGGS, we wish you well for your year in office. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, on behalf of Oaks Primary Academy, I would like to congratulate you on becoming the new Mayor of Maidstone. Great responsibility comes with this role, and the town citizens believe you will be a good Mayor and represent them well. I wish you luck as you step into your new position as Mayor, and I trust that you will find the strength and wisdom to guide you as you undertake your new duty.
I would like to thank all the scholars, and I will now make a presentation to them.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, councillors, scholars, honoured guests. I'm not quite sure where to start with thanking Councillor Nagy and Miss Vincent. I could say so much, but I shall try and keep it relatively brief. I have to say, I was a little concerned earlier this week when I heard that Councillor Nagy had gone to New Jersey. So I thought for a moment he might be returning to his roots and we would be losing him from this borough, as he was called home to Trenton. And I gather he had an interesting time with the mayor of of a city near there. The Councillor Nagy has told us often, of course, before he became mayor and during his mayoral year, of his American roots. And I have to say it was fortunate for us that he chose to pursue his vocation here rather than taking up his possible challenge of standing for the office of President of the United States. Although I have to say, at the risk of being slightly controversial, that it may have been better for the world if he pursued his... Having said that, mayors come and go, and this is my 25th, I think, mayor-making ceremony. They have differences, they have similarities. And one thing that doesn't change is the formal format of the ceremony and the speech of thanks. As I say, I've seen 25 mayors, well, technically 26 if you include the outgoing mayor who was leaving just as I was elected, come and go. And we've had the speech of thanks in more or less the same form every time. And the speech of thanks is presented, and sometimes you know that actually not everyone means it when they're saying the speech of thanks, that it's a form of words that is being used. Because let's be honest, there are good mayors, there are better mayors, there are great mayors, and there's just one or two duds. But this year, I am delighted to be able to say that I absolutely mean every word of this, because Dave Nagy, like many other mayors before, but not, as I say, all of them, has brought an energy, a drive, an openness to being mayor. He's been himself, and Angela has been herself, but they have added greatly to the character and the prestige and the effectiveness of the mayoralty. He is a breath of fresh air. He gets on incredibly well with people across a range. I've seen him talking to, just in the last few weeks, officials from Japan, American embassy officials, mayors, and ordinary people from every walk of life. Just before I came into this meeting, just before everyone else started to come here, because I got here early, he was having a conversation about things with some ordinary working men, you know, and I have to say, not everyone can do that. Not everyone can talk to and relate to all sectors of the community in the way that Councillor Nagy, Dave Nagy, has done and will continue to do. Not everyone likes that openness and informality, but the vast majority of people do, because there is a tendency out there amongst the public to think of politicians, mayors, as stuffed shirts full of their own importance, who do not relate to the real world. And I want to say one thing about Dave Nagy and Angela. They are part of the real world. They understand the real world. And Madam Mayor, so do you. So I look forward to your mayoral year with anticipation too. So formally, I would move that the hearty thanks of this council be given to Councillor David Nagy and Miss Angela Vincent for the admirable discharge of their duties as Mayor and Mayor's escort during the past year, and for their courteous approach to all sections of the community. I so move.
Councillor Newton.
Thank you. Congratulations to you, Madam Mayor, for stepping into Councillor Nagy's shoes. Obviously, I've known him a long time, since he was that big, just a bit bigger than the table. And he's been a character, that character. It's him, and he'll live with it for his life, doing whatever he does. His fantastic energy, and I think his family are very proud of him, and so is this borough. Everybody on the streets knows him for one reason or another, and I really can't say much more than that, because Councillor English has spoken so well about Councillor Nagy's efforts. Thank you very much. I'm glad to second that. Thank you.
Councillor Gooch. councillor round.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and congratulations from myself as well. But I'm here to talk about David. So, fellow members, perhaps some of you will not know, but actually, when David started his mayoralty, he actually started it in Headcorn. And where better? His first out of chamber or out of town hall engagement was actually in Headcorn, where he actually opened our new wing of the school, together with our MP, Helen Whately. And from that day onwards, as Councillor English alluded to, you could see that David's skills of engagement were absolutely superb. He actually got on very well with our MP, bearing in mind he's Liberal and we're Conservatives, and got on exceptionally well with the children, the governors, and everybody else associated with that wing. And we had an absolutely wonderful day, and then, lo and behold, he was back in Headcorn again, only a month later. And this time, he came along to celebrate our D-Day events at the aerodrome with Bertie, and with 600 children taking part. He actually was part of the Minute Silence and the Last Post, which is a very endearing and moving episode, where in fact our Chief Executive was also there too. And when this Minute Silence took place, a Spitfire then took off, and 600 children applauded and engaged with David rather than be fascinated by the Spitfire. Having said that, David then stayed on. Over the weekend, when we have events in Headcorn, we have several things combined throughout the day. So we have the 600 children during the daytime, and we had a Conservative wine and cheese party in the evening. And lo and behold, who tagged on, uninvited, but the mayor. By which time Ray over here had grown bored with him and taken his chain away from him and said, if you want to get home, you'll have to get home on your own steam. And who took him home? But Bertie. Needless to say, he didn't do it in a Spitfire or Tiger Moth or anything like that. He just took him home in a Mercedes. And at the time, you've got to bear in mind, that Mercedes was a darn sight better than the actual mayoral car at that time. It's amazing what's actually happened throughout this mayoral year. We've gone through basically no car. And as well as no car, we've now got a decent car for the mayor. But David did not actually start with a partner. He did not actually start with an escort to go with him. And lo and behold, his next visit to Headcorn, after he'd enjoyed his wine and cheese, of course, his next visit to Headcorn was again at another event at the Headcorn Aerodrome called Combined Ops, where we have the Air Force, we have the Army, we have demonstrations, we have events, and we have shows. And there was me playing Cupid. And I can remember Ray at the time looking at me saying, who's this? Because I'd actually found her a special car park, and she joined the mayoral party when we were doing a tour of all the events and activities. And there was Ray sort of smirking under his sunglasses. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but Ray has some particularly good sunglasses. And there he was, sort of smiling underneath those sunglasses, saying, who is this? Who is this? He didn't have a clue who Angela was at the time. Lo and behold, by the end of that day, Angela had become part of the mayoral party, part of the scene, and certainly, well, we went on to go and enjoy a very pleasant evening afterwards. And from that day, as I say, Angela has thus become part of David's life. And I am truly proud to have been part of that, Angela. And since then, we've shared some other engagements together. So, without going any further, but just to remind you that he does still keep on coming into Headcorn. And he finally finished the year by opening up a playground in Oldcombe. So, for a Lib Dem, it's pretty good the amount of times he's visited a rural ward. I really do. He's done exceptionally well, and his engagement has been absolutely marvellous. He's brought joy, he's brought smiles, he's brought it to everywhere, not just Headcorn. But all I can do for his friendly engagement, his fun, his smiles, and the wealth of it. Well done, and thank you, David and Angela, and I can highly commend and thank Councillor English for his hearty thanks. Thank you very much.
Councillor Atkinson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and congratulations on your appointment. I was going to say the dear shy and retiring mayor, but clearly he's not shy, so retiring Mayor Dave. So on behalf of the Enhanced Labour Group, because there's 4 of us now, I too would like to congratulate you on your past year. Your achievements have already been highlighted, so I won't go into all that now, but one of them which wasn't mentioned was the return of the River Festival. So that's good news for the borough. But what I'd really like to see return is Maidstone United to the National League. And, now, you were there, well, you were there last night, you told me, and the councillors let the police win, which is probably a wise move. But you were also there on the 10th of June with Helen Grant, and I'm not sure which one of you was the kiss of death on Maidstone United. But anyway, possibly more worrying than that, though, was your appearance with the Maidstone Lindy Hoppers at the Maidstone Care Centre in November, where you were caught singing and dancing. You make Anne Widdecombe look like a prima ballerina. Harsh but fair. But I think everything else has been said, so well done on the last year. You've done a really good job, so thanks, Dave. Cheers.
Now, after all them kind words, can I ask, does the council approve the motion? Thank you. I call upon Councillor Nagy to reply.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I must congratulate you on becoming the mayor, Marion. I hope you have a fantastic year, and hopefully you'll be buzzing like I am now at the end of the year. Well, just on that, I went to America because I met the mayor of PPAC and Gladstone it is now, at Maidstone United 4 years. He came back before Christmas because he loves Maidstone. And so all the things I've done is because they've come to Maidstone. And a lot of the things I mentioned is because they've come to Maidstone or they invited me from Maidstone. And he wants to do some sort of twinning. I don't know how, unless I become the president. But there is something there he wants to work on. And that's why I went back. And it was a great experience to go back because I hadn't been back there for 60 years. So it was a little bit of a twist there. And to go back as the mayor for just a couple of days was, as he said, an international visit, because I went to his council meeting and we all seem to have the same problems, funny enough. And it's just, when you go to something like that, you realise just how local people have the same problems we have, but I won't go into that now. Yes, so thank you for all the lovely words there. Because that's for other people to judge if I was any good at anything. As always, I always said when I've said something, I'd say to Russell or Ray, what were those words? Oh, Angela. What were the, and everyone seemed to agree with what I was saying because I don't like writing speeches down, I just like to say it. So here we go. Obviously, I'd like to thank Angela, because Angela was not here this time last year, but became a part of my life. So. And that was a bit of elegance and all those words that came in, which sort of made me look better, made me look good. So I must thank Angela for that. And hopefully, now the chain's gone, she might stick around for a bit longer. But you never know. You never know in life what's around the corner, do you? Thank you, Angela, for your time and all the things you put into helping me. I must thank the civic team, which I think is one of the best in Kent myself. Because obviously when you're getting into it, you're still learning and stuff like that. And Julie, Russell, Ray, and of course I had Faye as well. They are one of the best teams, I think, because they do work well together, they work for each other, and that's what you need when you're doing something like that. And of course, they've gone to previous events, so they know the ins and outs. So you have that bit of warning before you go somewhere. because of what's happened previous. And that's what you need in this job, and that's what Marion will benefit from. So, and I did have the fleet car for a while, which did do my back in a bit, but we must thank Mr. Andrew Haynes of Ford for it, because we've got it on just a service and agreement, but he's very much into Maidstone, a Maidstone boy, and Maidstone through and through. So we must congratulate him for doing that, and I think he's going to carry on doing the car, because it's part of Maidstone, and he's part of Maidstone, his company's part of Maidstone. So I'd like to thank him for that. So our civic team, and the executive support, when I used to ring up, I usually ring up certain people on the executive port, and they just sorted it for me, because when we keep having changes around, I've lost track of where everything is, and because when I need something quick, the executive support have come in there and sorted it out for me, so I must thank them as well. And the other person I must thank is over there now, Debbie, for doing all the minutes like she does, because it's a lot of time and effort goes into that, and once you've been the mayor, you realise what a time and effort and the work that goes into that. So, and everyone in her team around her, it's what makes the mayoralty. And one thing I know, being in my year, my view is that people do like the mayoralty, and I had to get used to people coming up to me because I was the mayor and not Dave Nagy. So when this comes up in the future, in my personal view, it's still worth doing, and it makes us different to other people, especially the Americans. They love it. They love it. And when we go to France, they've just got a little band. And of course, I turn up with the chain, and I'll come back to that later. And to see, because we've not been invaded, basically, so that's why we still got the chain. We haven't had none of that over the years. And that's the thing. People like to have the picture with the mayor, whoever is the mayor, because you've got that position. You are #1 citizen. And I had to get used to that, because I just thought it might be, you know, why does he want to stand next to me? But it's because I was wearing the chain, you see, and that's something you get as you go around. So the civic team and all the people that get involved in that really are excellent, and I can't thank them enough for that. And you don't know what you've got until it's gone. And now I'm standing now, I can say that, and it's fantastic, and hopefully they will continue on and not get headhunted or something. And then my next thanks, I must thank Sarah Jane especially, because with one reason or another, she's the one that's helped me through all the publicity that I've had, is mainly down to Sarah Jane and all her efforts. And now I must mention, her proper name is Judy Maddox, but I will always call her Judy Jambuster. Because if you was around when Victor Radio was on the air, she was Judy Jambuster, and I used to look out for her in the sky. Now, I had a bit of a birthday treat and on a plane at Headcorn, and as I got in the plane, he said, you do know this is Judy Jambuster's plane, don't you? And it just made it a bit special, sitting in that plane. But she'll always be Judy Jambuster to me. And I think the Insight magazine that's just been produced, myself personally think it's the best one we've ever done. And I've seen people reading it in Chinese takeaways as I've gone in. I've seen people reading it because it's a proper magazine. And it was Sarah Jane who suggested we go to Headcorn and talk to the pilots. So we're promoting local events. It was Sarah Jane that suggested I go to Gables Hill. So we're local businesses, and something we've done. And I think that's the way the magazine should work. We mix our business and our events together into that magazine, and I think that set the standard. So I must thank Sarah for that, and because I was in it a bit. But I just think when I go around and see people reading it and talk about it, I thought that was a bit of a first for us as a council, because that's what we do. The rest of it, they read it and they follow up the information in it. So I must thank them for that, and hopefully that will continue. Now, some of the things I did, like the Menin Gate, when I went to the Menin Gate, I was the first mayor of Maidstone to lay a wreath there, and they actually asked me to do exaltation at the beginning. So that is the most I've ever felt nervous. And I was invited by them on the 11th of the service when they came in the evening. So that was another invitation, wasn't made up by Dave Nagy, just trying to get out of Maidstone. I was invited to go with them to the Menin Gate, and it turned out to be a Maidstone evening, because they were singing over one side of the arch, and I was over this side, laying a wreath, and the commander of the Gurkhas went as well. They thought they was Australian, but if you ever go to the Menin Gate, I can understand that. So that was a bit special for me to do that, and it felt special. And we did sing at a cemetery as well. They went to where John Condom is, and when we were singing there, we noticed a lot of West Kent graves just by us, so that made it a bit more of a special day there. It was very nice to be with the military wives on their coach and be part of what they was doing for that event. And the Bouvet trips, like all the mayors I've heard previous, when you go to Bouvet and in the summer, they do make you feel special. Once you get over there, they make you feel so special for going. And you have to experience that, and they put a lot into their visits. They do love the twinning side of everything. So I was privileged to go over there and do that. The Remembrance Day, as I've just said, I've never seen so many people at a Remembrance Day. It was, I don't know if it was to see me, but with the 100 years, it was fantastic. And I went to over to Hollingbourne, where they managed to raise thousands of pounds to plant 100 trees in remembrance. And I think that's what makes us a bit special. When people in Maidstone concentrate on something, they really can come up with the goods. And that was one of the things. I'll always remember that one. And it didn't rain. And the most funnest one I went to was the Melzer House. If you ever go to that one where they do the bubble crush thing up at Moat Park, I've never seen so many people have an event running around making money and being happy to do it. So I'll always remember that one. Headcorn, that's the Veterans Day we went to with the kids and that. And that was a day, and Bertie was there. And, you know, he only lives around the corner from me. That's why he gave me a lift home that day. But to see Bertie and what he's been through and stuff, it's really, you have to talk to Bertie and you'll know what I'm talking about and you'll meet him one day. Of course, then we went to Swan Upping on our anniversary, which was another special day, something to remember. And I didn't realise, but when I went to America, they have a twinning, they have something in with the swans as well. And I couldn't believe the Swan Association there, but I don't own their swans, just to make that clear. And then the other things in my year, Pegasus Gym, where my daughter started off going at Bearsted, is now the best gymnastic club in the country, and it's in Maidstone. And we have a lot of excellent people in Maidstone. That's one thing being the mayor. You meet the people that are not just good, but they're excellent in Maidstone. So we've got Pegasus Gym and James and Courtney. You see them on the television, and they come from Maidstone. We have the Rowing Club, which is another centre of excellence for sport. And we had a boxing welterweight champion. He comes from Maidstone. Tom Horn, I think it was, wasn't it? I've got to get his name. But there you go. Now we've got people representing Maidstone at such a level. And I gave Lorraine from Maidstone United a certificate because she wouldn't... there'd be no disability teams at Maidstone United if it wasn't for Lorraine. And now that the disability teams are all winning things because they're coming together because they see each other out of football and they have a community now. And that's the sort of thing that I found in my year. And obviously, my charities have been a fantastic year for my charities. Done, like, you know, we have to do the best we can. Whatever comes up, comes up. But, you know, promoting the charities was a bit of a pleasure for me. And they've all gained out of the publicity, which is one of the main things. Not just about money, but publicity. And the other thing we've managed to do this year, Western Homes have come in and obviously given 20,000 for proms in the park. And I've got 15 grand for the River Festival. So, you know, there's people out there who will put money into Maidstone. You've just got to go out there and get them. So that's £35,000 coming into Maidstone for the benefit of the people of Maidstone. And it won't cost them anything. And we'll have something going on in Maidstone, so we'll be back to being the county town, because I've had to remind everyone that we are the county town and not Canterbury, which you'll probably have to do as well. Yeah, but I've had a fantastic year, and I thank everyone for your support. And now I've got to go back to being a normal councillor and do stuff. So I've had a fantastic year, and I thank you all for your support, and wish Marion all the best for the future. Thank you.
I will now present the retiring Mayor and Mayor's escort with medallions and gifts celebrating their year of office. We will now move back to the agenda at item 8. Is it agreed that the terms on the agenda be taken in public? Agenda 8, item 9. I move that the minutes of the meeting of the Borough Council held on the 10th of April 2019 be approved as a correct record. Does everybody agree? Agenda item 10. Could I have nominations for the appointment of Deputy Mayor, please? Councillor Blackmore.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to add my congratulations. Even though I was the one that nominated you, I'd still like to add my congratulations. And by the way, you look great in red. I've always thought blue was your colour, but you look good in red too.
Oh dear.
My only concern was there might be the odd yellow ribbon hanging around, but I think they've been popped in the cupboard for the year. So, let us move on. Councillor Mrs. Wendy Hinder, step forward into the spotlight. I'm lost for words, Wendy. You're such a kind and thoughtful, wonderful lady. Big beaming smile. And I know when the letter came through, you thought long and hard about it. It's a difficult position to take because you've got your L plates on. But you have, I can't call you a mistress, that sounds rude. A lady master, is that the right term? I don't know. You have another lady from whom you can learn the ropes. And you will be ably assisted by the lovely Mr. Hinder, who is sitting right behind me. I was looking over there thinking, where is he? He's sitting behind me. And I know together you'll be a smashing couple supporting Marion and also Richard as well. I'm sure your family are thrilled for the two of you. And the best thing is you can go out and have a really good year knowing that you are in the spotlight, but not quite. So you'll be able to learn the ropes without thinking, well, I won't make too many mistakes. I won't have to be pulled back from Headcorn in the mayoral car like other people, but we won't dwell on these issues. So I'm sure your boys are absolutely thrilled for you. I'm sure your grandchildren are too, but we'll save all the other details for later on in the year. But what I would like to do is say that Councillor Mrs. Wendy Barbara Hinder be duly appointed Deputy Mayor for the Borough of Maidstone until the annual meeting of the Council in 2020. And I would like to wish you all the love and best wishes on behalf of the Conservative group. So the very best of luck to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Oh, Wendy, it's happened, hasn't it? Your time has come. Well, nearly. Not quite, but nearly. It's a double whammy for the residents of Boxley, actually, because not only do they have the benefit of your contribution as a long-standing parish councillor, but now Deputy Mayor. So get used to it, Wendy. The L plates are on, as my colleague Annabel Blackmore said, sorry, Councillor Blackmore mentioned. The L plates are on. Marion's are off, and yours are on. Not wishing to labour the point, not wishing to make you feel worried, anxious, nothing like that. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I do wish you all the very best with your dearly beloved Bob. I'm sure that you'll be a great support. Great year ahead, supporting, Marion, I must call you Madam Mayor, please forgive me. But on behalf of the independent group, I'm very pleased to support the motion that Councillor Wendy Hinder be Deputy Mayor for the forthcoming year, 2019 to 2020.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and again, congratulations. Thank you, Wendy, for asking me to step in for Fran, who did second your nomination, but now, of course, is enjoying her retirement. Well, Wendy and I have worked together very closely over the years, and during that time have on many occasions found the need to toss a coin, decide who would chair a meeting, and on some occasions we've even shared the chairmanship. But we've done well and we've worked together well. Today, however, Wendy, is the one time that we don't need to toss that coin or share anything. It's your time to take on the role with Bob and represent Maidstone, and I know how much you will both enjoy the year ahead. So on behalf of the Liberal Democrat group, it gives me great pleasure to support the motion. Congratulations, Wendy, and have fun.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and just perhaps picking up on something Annabelle said, if red really suits you, we can get you a membership form all ready for next year. So, now turning to the serious nature of this is to, support the selection of Wendy to be our Deputy Mayor for next year. I think everyone has said she's been a very long-term, hard-working member of the council and Boxey Parish. And over the last year on Heritage, Culture and Leisure Committee, I've got to know Wendy and Bob quite well and realised just how hard-working and how passionate they are, especially over the town's twinning associations with Beauvais in France, but also with their passion and interest in things such as the museum, heritage and the arts and the culture of the wider borough. And I think it'll be really good to see you taking full flows in your role as Deputy Mayor, plus obviously supporting Marion, who in her time-honoured way will make sure that you do the job she's expecting, I'm sure, of the Deputy Mayor, with clean speaking. But I do hope you have booked your holidays in advance, because I did say to you a couple of months ago to make sure those were booked before you accepted it in writing. So if you haven't booked them yet, get your phone out now and book away. But have a great time as Deputy Mayor. And we look forward to, in the next 2 years, all three of us from Fant welcoming you to our traditional Fant barbecue, where we promise not to poison the council's leading citizens.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What can I say after everybody said so many wonderful things, some kind things about Wendy, and every single one of them is true. I mean, Wendy and myself, we have some mutual friends, and I thought beforehand I'd just double check with them what their thoughts are with regard to Wendy, and the words kind, thoughtful and full of encouragement. And I thought, thank goodness for that. That's exactly what I've got written down. Please believe that. Yeah, I did, yeah. And also they're keeping an eye on me anyway. But it's all I can say is fully enjoy your year as Deputy Mayor. I know it's going to be a busy year, but I do know that you've got the support of an absolutely wonderful husband in Bob, and the two of you will be a team in that position, but you will be the wearing the trousers, so to speak. Yeah. But have a great time, and I'll fully endorse you as Deputy Mayor, and have a great year. Thank you.
I, Wendy Barbara Hinder, having been appointed to the office of the Deputy Mayor of the Borough of Maidstone, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully follow the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability.
I will now present the Deputy Mayor and the Deputy Mayor's Consort with their badges of office. Oh, yeah. I call upon the Deputy Mayor who wishes to thank the Council for her appointment.
Well, I know one thing, as I thought, this robe is far too long. But it's got to keep me very warm, I know that, through the winter. I would just like to say a really big thank you to you all. And my goodness, you certainly look different when I'm looking at it from this angle. It is, isn't it? Thank you for your support and kind words, and I really do hope I live up to your expectations. I never dreamt back in 2004, when I was first elected to the council, that I would stand here today, having been proposed to be the Deputy Mayor for 2019-20. I never thought I'd last this long anyway. But anyway, I really do feel proud to be given that honour and the opportunity to support the Mayor and to be one of the female act running the show for the next 12 months. Thank you once again. Next year, hopefully I'll be able to speak a bit longer. But thank you very much indeed.
Where are we now then? Gender item 11. It's reference to forthcoming engagements, and I'm still putting everything in the diary, so I'll save that for the next time. On to agenda item 12. Could I have nominations for the election of the leader of the council, please?
I'd like to nominate my colleague, Councillor Cox.
Can I ask for a seconder, please?
I'd like to second that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Blackmore?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to nominate Councillor John Perry, please.
Thank you. Is there a seconder, please? Look, Councillor Bryce did put her hand up pretty sharp. Thank you. So can I have votes for Councillor Cox? Okay, sure. Now for councillor. Oh,
28.
shall I announce that now?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the votes cast for Councillor Cox is 28, and the votes cast for Councillor Perry is 26, which means that Councillor Cox is elected as leader of the council.
Agenda item 13. Could I have the nominations for the appointment of the Deputy Leader of the Council? Councillor Cox.
I would like to nominate Councillor Faye Gooch.
Seconded by Councillor English. Yeah. Are there any other nominations? No? So it sounds like she's duly elected. Well done. Agenda item 14. Adoption of the Council's constitution, including the scheme of delegation and recent updates. Can I have a proposer, please? Councillor Cox. Seconder? Oh, Councillor English, sorry. You look like that was his arm as well. Does everybody agree? They just did that. Agenda item 15, a review of the allocation of seats on committees. Everybody agree? No, don't do that. I call upon the Head of Policy and Communication and Governance to submit a report to the Council.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Following the change to the group membership, the proposed allocation of seats is set out in amended Appendix 1.
The Council, isn't it? It's a leader.
Yeah, so you asked for him to, you looked to him to propose it, so you say,
Yeah.
is there someone who will propose that?
Yeah. Is there someone who would propose that? Leader?
Thank you very much, Mrs. Mayor. Sorry, I should have stood and spoken well to agenda item 14. But before I do, may I firstly congratulate yourself as the position of Madam Mayor to Maidstone. But I would also like to put myself first forward to help at your parties, so that we can prove duly wrong, thinking that we wouldn't help you and support you.
Yeah.
So I will certainly put my name forward.
Good.
And secondly, I'd also like to welcome all the new members to the Chamber today that haven't been in before. So I welcome all our new members that were elected back in May, the beginning of May. So agenda item 15, I move the allocation of seats on committees be as set out in amended Appendix 1 to the report of Head of Policy and Communications and Governance, which be circulated separately.
Well, Right, okay then. Appointment of committees, we've just done that. Do I have a seconder? Is the motion agreed? The council will now acting as a corporate trustee of the charity known as the Cobtree Manor Estate. That's 16.
Yeah, but we haven't done 16 yet.
Appointment of committees.
Yeah, but that was the allocation.
Oh,
and
sorry.
now this is the
Sorry.
And now this is the people.
Now this is the people. Agenda item 16, appointment of committees. Councillor Cox.
I move that the wishes of the group leaders with regard to appointments on to committees and substitutes as set out in the schedule circulated at the meeting be accepted with the following amendments. Joint Transport Board, delete Councillor Springett as a member of the board and insert Councillor Brindle.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Bryce. Thank you. Is the motion agreed? Okay. The council now acting as a corporate trustee of the charity known as the Cobtree Manor Estate. Item agenda 17, review of the allocation of seats on the Cobtree Manor Estate Charity Committee. I call upon the Head of Policy, Communication and Governance to submit a report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Following the change to the group memberships, it's proposed that the allocation of seats on Cobtree Manor Estate Committee be Conservative 2, Liberal Democrats 2, Maidstone Independent Group 1.
Leader, Councillor Cox.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that the allocation of seats on Cobtree Manor Estate Charity Committee be as follows. Conservative 2, Liberal Democrat 2 and Independent 1.
Do we have a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Gooch. Is the motion agreed?
Agreed.
Agenda item 18, appointment of the Cobtree Manor Estate Charity Committee.
Up and down like the Assyrian Empire. Right. Agenda item 18. I move that the wishes of the group leaders with regard to the appointment of members and substitutes to serve on the Cobtree Manor Estate Charity Committee as set out in the schedule circulated at the meeting be accepted.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor English. Is the motion agreed?
Agreed.
The council is now acting as culprit trustee of the Queen's Own Royal West Kent Regiment Museum Trust. Agenda item 19, a review of the allocation of seats on the Queen's Own Royal West Kent Regiment Museum Trust Committee. I call upon the Head of Communication and Governance to submit a report. Councillor Cox.
I move that the allocation of seats on the Queen's Own Royal West Kent Regiment Museum Trust Committee be as follows. Conservative 2, Liberal Democrat 2, Labour 1.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Mackay. I couldn't see his face from there. Can I take that that's all agreed? Agreed. Thank you. Agenda item 20, appointment of the Queen's Own Royal West Kent Regiment Museum Trust Committee.
I move that the wishes of the group leaders with regards to the appointment of members and substitutes to serve on the Queen's Own Royal West Kent Regiment Museum Trust Committee, as set out in the schedule circulated at the meeting, be accepted.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Garland? Is the motion agreed? I now declare the meeting closed.
Could I ask all councillors who are taking part in the procession to make your way to room B for robing? Thank you.